when I was giving me a Snickers. It's like, hey, well, welcome to the job. So, no problem.
He'll be out of the way.
No.
Ever try to put notes on one spot and you end up putting them on napkins and
Yeah, I've got like a notebook, but I realize it's too small. So I'm upgrading this year.
tried to use this and then I go back to this and then I use.
Yeah. I wanted something
Been
small.
good though.
that way I
Had
could keep
a
it with
couple of
me, and that way if
cancellations, so
I'm
this week I've been at home.
Oh, and I could just make a jot.
Right.
But it just wasn't working. It's
Yeah,
too small.
I don't know what the answer is. Having a photographic memory is the answer.
That is the answer. And unless I can like go back in time and pick my stats again, it's not going to happen.
A few things here that
Got decided to play on hard. Got reincarnated.
Recording in progress.
Jan, how are you? No? That's why you have, you.
That's what I'm wondering.
Didn't say.
Sorry, I'm taking your space.
No, no, no. Mine's right out here.
I still can't tell. Do you prefer Brandon or Quinn? Like, do you have an actual preference?
Well, since you guys have met, huh?
Yeah.
And for
Right now,
Yeah, whatever.
okay.
I get called both by friends and family.
Thought or something?
yeah.
When it's your turn? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was just like,
Yeah. I just was curious because my.
As far as what? Because they want a bid, right?
Just in general, like, do we need one?
Okay.
he works nights, so I don't know. We kind of wait till the very last minute for him. We've got 4 minutes. Just enough time for me to figure out where everything is.
The newest, you're right.
Brought us flowers?
Work for you, Adam. For coming tonight.
Key to my heart.
The state to waive
There's so many people there.
Are we 3 minutes?
I hope you don't care. But your daughter-in-law gave me your cell number because I didn't have your number.
Oh, yeah. I left you a message this week. Yeah, just,
You did?
yeah. Like three days ago. So,
That said, call me.
and I hope I had the right number for you. I guess I should have checked with Diane.
It's weird bringing him to project. He's not doing anything.
And you're
In
I'm showing 6:30. Can you hear me out there? Okay, I can't hear myself, so. Well, welcome out to our city council meeting for Thursday, the 15th of January, 2026. My name's Phil Meyer. I'm the newly elected mayor, so I'm sorry, you can't hear me? That might help. Does that help? No? Testing? Okay. So, great to have you all out here today. My name's Phil Meyer. I'm the newly elected mayor here in Plain City. This is my first test run, so don't judge me too much from this meeting. You know, I'll get better, right, Mayor? So, anyway, happy to have you all out here. Those that are joining us virtually as well, appreciate your attendance. I have seated on the stand here Councilman Favero, Councilwoman Beal, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nervous. We've got Councilman Judd Jenkins and Jen Wilson and Luigi Panunzio.
Sorry I'm late.
Good to have you here. We're going to go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance offered to us by Councilman Jenkins, and then we'll have a moment of prayer, a moment of reverence, or moment of silence by Council Member Beal. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I don't feel comfortable giving prayers. It's something that's always made me nervous, even more than the mayor is right now. So I'm just going to give an inspirational quote. It says, "Life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself." Right?
I like that. Very good. Thank you. All right, let's see. One of my first acts of business as a newly elected mayor was to give some thanks to the previous mayor. Now, I know that you had a moment a month ago or so to at least give some parting words, Mayor Beasley, but I wanted to just officially, thank you for 8 years of service. I've had a chance to talk with you, and I thought the integration was really good. You spent a lot of time with me, and I appreciate that so much. But the residents of Plain City really received a great benefit from you for the past 8 years, and just wanted to start the year off here by thanking you and your wife for your wonderful service. I'm going to ask you both to come up and sit in these two chairs right here.
It's going to be a roast.
All right, so we have a few acknowledgements we want to make. I've invited your parents, Mayor Beasley, the Honorable Judge Jim Beasley and Carol Beasley here. I asked them if they wanted to say a few words, and unfortunately, they said they'd rather do that in private, which I understand. You want to say something?
Oh, she changed her mind.
Carol Jean.
You want to come up to the stand here? Okay.
She might be changing her mind again.
Name and address, please.
Yes, that's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, right?
That's right.
I just can't, and I'm afraid I won't catch everybody, but thanks to Diane, thanks to Dan, and all your workers and all the staff that have made such a great mayor out of my son. And it's been an awesome opportunity for us to watch him grow and to develop into a neat guy that loves the city and has done a lot of good for it. Thank you. We love you.
That deserves a round of applause. So, Mayor Beasley, I think you'd have to agree with this next statement. you couldn't have done this without Shelley. You know, so I've asked Shelley just to say a couple of words about her experience and about her mayor husband, okay? So, I do, yeah.
Okay, well, a lot of you probably know that I don't come to city council meeting because it stresses me out way too much. So I've been supporting silently behind the scenes because I internalize things too much. He's always said water off a duck's back, but I take it personally. So I have been here to support, and it's been, like Carol Jane said, amazing to see the growth in John. When he first came home and said that he was thinking about turning in his candidacy, I was fearful that he'd fallen and hit his head because we are not politicians. And but we went with it anyway, and the things that we have enjoyed over the last 8 years have been incredible. This community is incredible. We knew that before. That's why we did it. But to see and to grow with the people of Plain City has been amazing, and I've loved watching the growth in John. He's learned things that obviously we never thought he could learn, and he's became very strong in his personality and with just with everything. We're going to miss all the community events and the service that we were able to give. That was my favorite part, was being able to partake in all of the fun events and stuff. That's what we're going to miss the most. But just also wanted to echo Carol Jean and just say thank you to everyone, especially to the staff, to everyone who was there to pick up the pieces when things got a little crazy. There's some fun, not so fun parts of being the mayor, and the support that went from everyone through those hard times, we greatly appreciate. So as a family, we want to thank everyone. And I just want to say thanks to John for putting us into this. A lot of times I wasn't very thankful, but I am thankful. And I think as a family and as a whole, we've had a great time. So thank you.
Okay. So, Mayor, you had a chance to say some things from the pulpit. Is there anything else you want to say, or we have a plaque to present and some other things, but thought I'd give you the opportunity if you want. Okay, all right. And I get that. Okay. So anyway, we have a plaque that we want to present to you. It has a what do you call it, a gavel on there because it's in your blood, okay? And we don't want you to forget this experience. We also have a gift certificate to Maddox. I'm going to bring this down to you. Rachel, do you mind giving us some pictures and stuff? Okay, all right.
No, you're supposed to get in.
Stand up.
I know.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, John. Same time, same place.
You can stay.
Nothing important, yeah. No, he left me a killer agenda here, so. All right, let's go ahead and move into the meeting. Thank you again, Beasley's and Mayor. We'll now go to public comments, and so this is an opportunity for,
Approval of the minutes.
oh, we haven't done those yet, sorry. Approval of minutes will be first. For December 4th, the minutes have been sent out, I know. Any comments, updates, anything we need to know about the minutes?
Nope. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as written from December 4th, 2025.
Second.
Okay. It's been approved.
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Are all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Man, motion carries. Okay. We move to public comments. And this is opportunity for the public to come up. Please come up to the microphone. State your name, address, if possible, so we can get that information down. We'd ask that you take 3 minutes. I know that's tough sometimes to get everything you want to say in 3 minutes, but we do have a lot of business to cover here. But this is an opportunity for you to tell us what you want to tell us. We're going to do the listening, you're going to do the speaking. You may not always get a comment back. If we want to comment, we will, but it's a time for us to internalize what is you're saying, and so that's the way it'll work. So we'll now go ahead and enter into public comments. Anyone that's here would like to come up, please do.
Hello.
Hi, Laura.
I'm Laura Parker, and I live on the 3235 West, 2200 North. And I'm here to address the dead-end street of 2200, the dirt road. It's really been frustrating. I've got in touch with the commissioners and also Sean Wilkinson, the mayor, Dan from here, and all I get is you guys blame the county, and the county blames the city. So it's really frustrating. We can't get any answers. And the ones that get stuck in the middle is the residents on 2200. All we want is to be done right. The residents are okay with it staying dirt. We don't care if it gets paved. And we would like it to stay a dead-end street, like it has been forever. The gate down there, we were told we could put that up because it has been from when it has existed, a dead-end street. It's never been a through street. Whoever done the council, I don't know, the developer put it through. It's never been a through street. It's always been a dead-end street. And we'd like to have it that way. On Monday, you have that subdivision down there. And on Monday, I know on that little lane road, there was over 30 dump trucks that came down on that road. We couldn't even get out of we had to wait twice to get out of our driveway to go down 2200. That subdivision that's been approved down there, I'm not sure how it got approved to have that second out of on 2200 when that is a designated dead-end street, a gated, and you've okayed it to be an out. So I'm not sure how that got approved. And then when I've talked to the commissioner, Harvey, he said he's not putting any more money into 2200 than what what you guys have talked about. So I was wondering who's gonna pave from where the subdivision is to where the gate is. Who's gonna pave that? Who owns that? Who's gonna pave it? Is the developer gonna pave it, or is the county gonna pave it? Because the county says they're not gonna spend any more money. So at this time, I have learned that moving, this is from a former commissioner. He said by moving that gate, then we void it being a one-lane dead-end street. If we move it from there up to Moldings, that becomes void. And I know in Planning Commission, Shauna Faulkner brought this up a ton. What was the plan with that gate? And they said to move it. Well, if it becomes void, we don't, as the residents, don't want that gate moved. We want it to stay a dead end, one lane, dirt road. So when I talked to Jim Harvey and Sean Wilkinson, I get different stories than from Dan, the Dan, I don't even know who he is, Dan, whatever.
Dan?
Hi, Dan. I've talked to you. I get conflicting stories, because Dan said, well, we're gonna move the gate when the road gets paved. Well, the road, when it gets paved, is too late. All the dirt's been moved in there. All the dump trucks have come in, all of it's done. Well, that's too late to move the gate. Plus that, if it voids our thing, we don't want the gate moved. And so then I talked to Sean, and he said it was never in the plans to move the gate. Sean Wilkinson says it wasn't ever in the plans to move the gate. So who do you believe? Do you believe Dan? Do you believe Sean? And then Sean says, it's because we have safety issues on that road. Well, I can tell you right now, the road being dirt and a one lane, it's much safer for those kids walking to school than a paved road with no sidewalks, no curb. I know you're gonna put a little walkway in, but you're gonna increase the traffic by what? A ton, because all those homes are gonna come that way to the school, and all those homes are gonna come all that way to the grocery store. And these kids are gonna have like, what, a 2 foot, 3 foot, I don't even know what the walkway's gonna be. But there's no barrier between the road, from the cars to those. The kids are much safer on that dirt road than they will ever be with that being paved. And then he said, there's a,
Hate to interrupt, but you're gonna have to, we're kind of.
okay, so the issue for the fire, he said the fire issue is another one. You have plenty of fire. The fire trucks can go clear to the east and get in. They don't have to come down that dirt road. That dirt road's been there for years. They don't have to come in. So Sean, when I was talking to Sean, he says, well, why don't we just make it a private road? Hey, us residents would love it to be a private road. We'll keep it up ourselves. We don't need the county, we don't need the city. We'll keep it up ourselves. Because I've lived there 25 years. I've paid taxes for 25 years, some to the city. And you know what I get from the city? Garbage. That's all that you do for me. Your snow removal guy comes and ends it at the pavement and leaves us a snowbank to go through. I have to call the city to have them come and remove the snowbank so we can get through.
All right, you about there? Okay.
Yeah, so just in the end, we would like to see it be a private road, and we'd like to see it not go through. So, and we would like to see a barrier put on that 2200 from that subdivision so the trucks can't come in and go into that subdivision, because you can't, it was done wrong.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other public comments?
My name is Caitlin Shaw. We live at 4702 West, 2200 North. Who knew 2200 North was going to be the hot topic of the night? I'm here with regards to the Kelly's Cove Development Senior Overlay that's been proposed at, like, essentially the corner of 46 and 22, right there. My major concerns with any development going in west of 4600 is the traffic that comes down 2200. We are just at the bottom of the hill, and so we have the benefit of watching all of the street racing that happens and hearing all of the accidents that happen, and because 2200 doesn't stop at all there, and the only stop happens at 4100. So from 4100 down past 4600, you can get going pretty fast. We've seen some of those awesome teenagers hitting 70 in front of our house. And so my major concern with any development that's going in west of 4600 is the traffic that is going to be put on 2200. I think the area that this is going in, I know there's water issues, we have our own, and there's been concerns of adding congestion and traffic to that area. I feel like the congestion and traffic of seniors being added there is much lower than single families who could have multiple teenage drivers and adults and all of those things. So I personally would love to have all the old people live across the street from me. That'd be great. All my 6 kids would have lots of grandparents to go make friends with. So my only option in all of this is to say that take into account the entire future of the city and the infrastructure and not just what it's being used for right now.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name's Jerry Wilcox. I live at 4640 West, 2200 North. Who knew 2200 was going to be so? Development is here and there's more coming. I love living in Plain City. It is just wonderful. I think the landowners should be able to sell their land and make money, and I think the developers that are coming should be able to come in and make money. But I also think that when the developers leave, that Plain City should be better for the development, with the development. I know the developers are planning to put, well, Kelly's Cove has said they might not, put the structures 10 feet from the road. I left a city that structures are 10 feet from the road, and then the road can no longer be widened, and the roads become dangerous because the structures are so close to the road. And it just looks bad. When structures are that close to the road, it just looks bad. So, and if you let one developer come in and develop 10 feet from the road, then the rest are going to want to develop 10 feet from the road because it's more money for them. And I understand that. I just hope that it can be done right now, so the future that Plain City will still look good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Justin Solomon, 4752 West, 2100 South, or 2100 North, just south of the development. That's Kelly's Cove. My main issues are the traffic on 2200. There's only one egress, and the emergency services for seniors is a little higher, so take that into account. And also the water issues, like off of the roofs. We're suffering from flooding already, and we had to put in a sump pump and push all that water into the canal behind our house. So I don't know how they're going to mitigate that issue. And other is parking in that development. I know the development's going to happen. You just need to do it smoothly and organized. And I have an issue with the amount of development homes that are going to go in there. At current, right now, it's like 18. If they could possibly do 12 or 14, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Anyone else? I did receive, or we did receive, oh, sorry. Okay.
Hi. Are we having another discussion before the Kelly's Cove, or is this all a discussion? Because on here, there.
No, this is just the public comments. There's really not a public comment before Kelly's Cove tonight.
Okay.
Different business we're doing.
First off, I'd like to say I've been here. My name's John Shank. I live at 4735 West, 2200 North, Plain City, and I'm located west of Kelly's Cove subdivision. I really don't have a problem with them selling that and people building, and John was wanting to sell his property to help himself out, because John's helped me out over the years with tractor work and stuff. But I do have a issue with the water back there, the ditch that's been covered with, the Plain Cities didn't allow the property behind it to encroach the easement that's there and the easement that's farther down. And everybody's flooding there. And the way it's set up, there's up above the bluff, all the water that drains down to that way. And my house sits, one half of my house is 4 feet under dirt. So I'm always saturated with everything that's coming down from the top hill. The other thing is the drains that in front of my house that drains the stormwater drains are clogged. And I've had, every year I have floods for the last 4 or 5 years. And I'd like to say that there's nowhere for water to go once they put those in until the city. Dan Schumer has came down and tried to unclog it several times, and it has not been unclogged entirely. It's clogged now. I anticipate I'm going to have a flood this year myself as soon as the snow melts. The other things is on the paperwork that we were sent the first time, we didn't get any for this meeting. It states that they're 55, one person has to be 55, and to me, that's not a retirement community when anybody else can be there at any age with that 55-year-old person, because most of them are 55 and older, 65 and older. And the other thing is the high density of it, of putting that many homes on that little area. Within all the homes that are either 1 acre, mine's a little more than an acre, everybody around me. So if you pull up the Plain City future map on here, which would be the future land use map, those lots there are supposed to be 18,500 feet, which is just a little bit less than a half an acre. And that's where they should stay, because from that road down, everybody's irrigating, farmland, horses, you name it. And for them to change it into high density and put them around everybody that's doing that, it's going to cause nothing but more floods for everybody that's already flooding. The people that live around me now they keep putting in more sump pumps and nothing's working. They're going to find out this year when the snow melts, did it work? One guy's put in lots of money in his house. My house, I have sump pumps in it, and I still get water in my basement at times. It just depends. I've had water on the side of my house, and I'm always fighting the water every year. And for them to put more houses there and pavement, and I just see a disaster coming. And that's my input on it. I just want the city to know that we have plenty of senior living in the town now. We don't need any to put a density of them right there. If it was my position, I would stick with the future land map use, and that's where I stand with it, and most of the people around me do as well. And I have animals and stuff they're going to be right back up to it, and they're going to be complaining about my animals and things like that. And I just want you guys to take that into consideration. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I'm John Dixon, 2183 North, 4650 West. I'm the owner of the property in question. I've lived there 22 years. I think this senior overlay is an excellent thing to happen there. I think it's a lot more low-key than some of the other seniors areas that's in Plain City. And addressing the water issue, I've been taking care of that pasture, the Don Harris's pasture, for over 15 years. So I know it all drains northbound. There's not an issue with any of that water going into those homes on 2100. If anybody's got a question about the volume of traffic, as long as there's a high school over there, what little amount of traffic that subdivision is going to bring won't put a dent into it based on the kids that travel that and the construction down there at Marriott's property. So if you have any questions or anything, I could answer, but I think it's an excellent thing. I've got my own reasons why I'm selling, but I think it'll be a benefit to the whole neighborhood. And that's all.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right.
There's more. And then we'll need to ask Zoom too. And then we'll need to.
My name is Josh Soley. I live at 3224 West, 2200 North, on the dirt road section that Laura Parker was talking about over here. So we're pretty much on the same page with her to leave it alone, leave it like it is. And I did see those dump trucks on Monday traveling back and forth. It's scary. Some of them places, you can't walk along that road with them dump trucks flying up through there, bouncing up through there. And there's a lot of kids that walk that road. But I think we should just leave it like it is. If Plain City, they can't maintain it and take care of it, or they don't want to, then give it to us. The county don't want to take care of it. They want to give it to the city. It just seems like you guys could take that money instead of trying to build that little, whatever size road you're trying to put in there with the little lane on it, make it unsafe. Take that money and put it into 3600 West or something and fix a different road. And even if you let us take that road over and maintain it, and you guys don't got to mess with it or leave it dirt and don't do anything else with it. But I think we need to keep that gate in place and keep that other subdivision access to the other road instead of coming onto 2200. It'll work out better for everybody that uses the road.
Okay. Did we reach your name? Did you give your name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else? Let's go to Zoom. Zoom takers. I did receive a letter from Brett and Kristen Farron, pretty much outlined what has already been addressed here tonight. Everybody has a copy of this, or will have a copy of it, so we will look this over. Your comments are part of the public record, so, it's, the information's down. We will take a look at it, consider it, and that's the way you do business in Plain City. So, Dan, I thought maybe you might want to address just the dump truck situation, because I know you made a call on that, right? Okay.
Yes, they do have construction going on up there at Silver Valley, and Nelson Homes is under contract to build that for the Skeens that ended up developing that. It is up the dirt road on 2200. The contractor working on Marsh subdivision just west of that, the dirt road, they said, well, yeah, it's just going to be a lot easier. We don't have to worry about tracking mud or anything else. We can just go up the dirt road and drop off our, and start staging and start grubbing and stuff like that. After I received the phone call, I had a couple of phone calls. I said, okay, you know what? Yeah, definitely. I can see the concern, being a one-lane road and, it's narrow, it's dirt road. And so I did reach out to the contractor, and I had asked the contractor, can you please come in off of 1975? And the contractor said, it's going to take me more time, but yeah, I'll let my crew know. And within that day, I went back up and was talking to the loader operator, and they already had a stockpile of road base over off of 1975. And he says, yeah, Jed must have already made the conversation because, all the trucks are starting to enter over here now. Okay, good. Up on the east end of that 2200, then that's where it initially started, is off of the Sunset subdivision, Nelson Homes, where the gate's at. The county is the one that ended up piping the ditch and going down to the Silver Valley subdivision. When Silver Valley asphalts, they're going to asphalt the east portion of that and tie that into Sunset Meadows. And then so that road, Sun Valley will end, or Silverleaf will end up wrapping around to the east subdivision. And the county had asked me, will you please move the gate once that gets asphalted? If that's what you want us to do, and until if things get annexed or whatever, that's fine. Yeah, we'll be more than happy, because we're the ones that put the gate in right there, where it's at. So, and of course, by the county's ask, we did. But, yeah, so in a nutshell, that's where we're at right now.
All right, thank you very much.
Could I ask a quick question? Dan, I did have a question about the snow removal, where it was just being a big pile.
We do not plow road base. It won't work. We'll end up flipping more road base on their lawns than it would be to, yeah, and it did tear up the road even more. So at that point, like I said, we don't. And after I received the phone call of, hey, they're leaving the rooks of course, we haven't plowed this year. And last year was very minimal as well. I think we got the plows out once last year, and the rest of the time we sanded. But anyways, after I received the phone call, and it might have been a couple of years ago, but anyways, so I called my guys and I said, hey, go clean up that, open that 22. And yeah, so they pushed it up against the fence. So, and I had a couple new snowplow drivers, and that's where, miscommunication. So.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Next is a report from the Planning Commission. I believe we've got Shauna Faulkner, Commissioner Faulkner here.
Okay, welcome, Mayor. It's nice to have you here and excited for all you're going to do for Plain City. Our meeting, we started with the public hearing about this Kelly's Cove that you've been hearing about tonight. Our recommendation was to deny. That was mostly based on the fact that we have 2 other senior overlays currently in development. It was more about that and about the access roads. Then we're not trying to pick on any developer that they can't apply for this, but it is a conditional use. It doesn't automatically get approved, has to make sense to work for the city, and we just didn't feel like another senior overlay would serve right now. So that was our main decision. Then there was a discussion about Freedom Estates. She just wanted to change her, this is Jan Checketts, she wanted to change her development to a phase 1 and phase 2, and we approved that, or we recommended for you to approve that. And then we set a public hearing on January 22nd for another property that they would like to rezone from 18.5 to RE15. Just a public hearing at this point. We don't have a recommendation one way or the other yet. We have feelings about it, but we have not made any recommendation. And then some administrative items. There was a site plan for Dr. Ben Hill's new development in his office there. We approved that. The Sunflower Assisted Living wanted to put a sign on the west side of their building, and we approved that. The Latter-day Saint Church that is over there on 3650 West North Plain City Road, they've turned in a site plan and a conditional use. We approved both of those. And then Jan and Tracy Wilson submitted a subdivision for 2 lots, and we approved that. And that is all we had. Do you have any questions for me? Okay.
All right, well, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see here. We now have our 2025 audit report by Ulrich and Associates, and we've got Heather Christofferson here.
Thank you. Lots of goodies. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is why I came prepared.
Thank you. Again, my name's Heather Christofferson. I work with Ulrich & Associates. We are the independent auditors for the city. So this evening, I am presenting the financial statements for June 30, 2025. We just completed the audit in the last week or so. So this is, again, June 30, 2025, so this is 6 months ago. I am going to be brief because this is 60 pages. You can read it on your own, I'm sure. I'm just going to go over a couple of pages here that are important. You've got some loose pages within what I just handed you. That is the first page on there. Most likely it says accounting and internal control is the first major heading there. These are management recommendations. They're not findings. They're minor items I'm not going to go through in this meeting, but we're just making management aware of a few things that we are recommending they do in the future. The second loose page that you've got there is the governance letter. It is basically saying we didn't have any problems with management or anyone else that we worked with. There were no major issues that we found. We have one state compliance finding, which I will go over, and then we do have that management letter as well. Okay. So then, financial statements themselves. The first letterhead page right behind the table of contents. This is the auditor's opinion letter. This is really what you're paying for, and what you want is a clean opinion, which we were able to do. Second paragraph there says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. So what that means is the information provided we have audited, and we agree with what has been reported for the city. There's a lot that goes into an audit behind the scenes, and then once we get involved. I wanted to thank Ryan and his group for all that he does to get ready, and then Diane and her group for everything that comes after. There's a lot that goes into this. That's why it takes about 6 months to get it all done. Okay. Beyond that letterhead page, the next section is the management discussion and analysis. It's about 5 to 7 pages usually. It's a condensed version of the entire 60-page report. If you're going to read anything within this statement, those are the 6 pages you want to read. It's condensed information. It gives you all the background of what's contained within the report itself. On page 8, statement of net position. This is full accrual accounting. So this is not how you manage the city. This is an attempt to report the city as if it were a business. So that's going to include all the debt, all of the assets, retirement information. This is required as part of the standards, but it's not really how you manage the city itself. The next page over, page 9, is a little more useful. Statement of activities. Again, it's full accrual accounting, but it breaks it down and shows you by function what the city spends money on and what revenues kind of offset those expenditures. So I'm just going to give you, for instance, the general government, first line item there. Total expenses under that function is $966,000. You have charges for services that offset that of $644 right next to it as you go to the right. So we have to make up $321,000 that was not funded by charges for services. So how does the city do that? As you go down that column that says change in financial position, governmental activities, you can see property taxes under general revenues. You'll see sales and use tax, franchise. Those are the funding sources that help cover those functions that are more than the charges for services or the operational grants that you receive. So those are statements that are useful to an extent, but not how you manage the city. Any questions on that before I move on to what's your normal, what you should be seeing on a regular basis? Page 10 is the balance sheet for the governmental funds. This is modified accrual accounting, so you're not going to see capital assets, you're not going to see debt. This is basically a short term, what are you receiving money for, and what are you paying out, and what do you have left over. So the assets are going to be more of an immediate asset, such as cash, short-term receivables, prepaids. There's expenses, accounts payable, so that's going to be short-term liabilities that you're going to end up paying. And then fund balances is essentially the equity side of things. Many things are restricted, such as Class C roads. You receive the funding every year, you spend it, there's some left over. we carry it over into the next year. One of the state compliance items that we need to test for is whether or not you comply with the maximum amount of fund balance. You're only allowed to have 35% of general fund revenues. The city is within that. They're at about 32%. That's of the unassigned fund balance of 1.8 million. First column, about third from the bottom. Any questions so far? Okay, great. Next page I want to go over briefly again is page 12, Statement of Revenues, Expenditures, and Changes in Fund Balance. For the governmental funds, that's the general fund and the capital projects fund. This is again modified accrual accounting. So this is more of a short term. This is what you normally are basing your budgets on and reviewing on a regular basis with your finance team. Down towards the bottom, net change in fund balance. It's essentially like your net income for the year. So you can see general fund is positive $377,000 and capital projects is to the good of $831. So you're adding to your fund balance for the 2025 year in both funds. And finally, proprietary funds, page 14. So this is sewer, landfill, storm drain. These are full accrual accounting statements. This is how you manage these funds. The intent of these funds are to support themselves through user fees and then support the future expansion and repairs of existing infrastructure as well. So on page 14, we've got the statement of net position. That is essentially the balance sheet for each one of these funds, utility funds. What you can see down at the bottom is the net position for all funds is mainly consists of net investment in capital assets because there's a significant amount of infrastructure involved in each one of these utility functions. If you look at page 15, this is essentially the income statement for these three funds. What we want to point out is middle of the page, net operating income. So sewer is positive 162,000. Landfill, there's very little activity, and then storm drain is negative almost $100,000. So what this says is once you take into consideration user fees, charges for services, and then the operational costs of that function, that operating net income is really what you're trying to manage and make sure you're covering your costs each year, as well as saving for the repairs and future expansion that you would need to do.
Sorry, I'm gonna jump in. That's just strictly Mike working? That's just strictly operations, right?
Correct.
So
Then below that, you've got impact fees for expansion, you've got interest revenue, and then grant income as well.
ultimately it's saying there's no money left for capital projects, to put it simply, right?
Okay. And then the last page of the report, page 59. This is, I just want to point out the state compliance finding. There was one minor one in here for being over budget in one of the departments in the general fund. Again, there's a criteria, cause, effect, all of the details here. Again, it was a minor thing, but we do need to show that within our report. And that is all I have for you tonight.
I did fail to bring up Ryan Child's name. He's our treasurer right there. Appreciate the work he does. Thank you. So as I understand it, and I'm new here, so these are really the same numbers that we get from him. You do an audit annually. and
Correct.
We've matched up pretty well then.
Yes, yeah. Yep, exactly.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, any other questions? Sorry. No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Second? Looks like it's, what do I say now? It's,
All in favor.
all in favor, yeah.
Aye.
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 Looks like it's passed, all right. let's move to the appeal of denial of conditional use permit for Kelly Cove. And we're also going to address the review of, well, we're going to do this separately, but review of Planning Commission recommendation to the senior housing overlay at Kelly's Cove. This is a little bit complicated for situation here, and I've asked our attorney to look some of this over, and I've asked him to just kind of give us an overview of what we're looking at here and what we need to keep in mind.
Yep, happy to help, Mayor. So I think at this point, it's before we have anybody address the city council, it's important to kind of recognize the posture of this appeal versus a review. We've got 2 items on the agenda regarding the same project, but there are 2 items because we're reviewing a conditional use permit decision made by the Planning Commission, as well as a zoning recommendation made by the Planning Commission. I've looked into our codes and at this point have reached an understanding, to the best of my ability, of the procedure intended for senior housing overlays. Now, as I understand it, and I know we have a Planning Commission representative here as well, the senior housing overlays are deemed as a zone for city code purposes. When it is completed, let's say all approval processes are followed and the project is approved, it is recorded as an overlaying zone on an existing zone. So it's not a rezone in the sense that we're not taking an existing zone and changing it into something new. It's an overlaying zone on top of one that already exists. That being said, it's treated as a conditional use. So the process for applying for a senior housing overlay is the process for a conditional use permit. And that's what we would have the Planning Commission review. In reviewing that application, the application that would be submitted would be an application for a conditional use. The application would then be reviewed by the Planning Commission based on standards that are set in the code, which is 10-7, Title 10, Chapter 7. So all of the review and the recommendations from the Planning Commission would be based out of that code. And as this is a conditional uses are, for all intents and purposes, they are permitted uses with conditions. The state ombudsman has made a lot of efforts over the last years to emphasize this to government entities, that conditional uses aren't denied unless we can find conditions that satisfy the city. It's the other way around. They are permitted with conditions. And so what would happen during the review process is, with the basis of it being permitted, the Planning Commission and the person applying for the SHO would come up with conditions to mitigate any detrimental effects that this type of development would have on the community. And as long as there are available conditions to mitigate, and that doesn't mean completely get rid of the detrimental effects, the negative effects, then it has to be approved. And so where this is coming as an appeal for a conditional use permit, we need to review it with that legal framework. Now, as it comes as a rezone application as well, since the code does direct us to the process for conditional use permits, we would not consider this as a rezone. We wouldn't run it through the rezone application process or consider any of the review materials that would typically apply to a rezone. It is a conditional use. After that conditional use process is completed, and assuming it is approved based on recommendations of the Planning Commission, the City Council will review a development agreement with those conditions added into it. And then it would be entered as a new zone by ordinance. So you can kind of see how it starts as a zone.
Yeah.
But it's entered in as a conditional use application. If it's approved, then we enter it in as a zone. And so I've made a list of what the City Council ultimately has to make a decision on. One is a development agreement with a recommendation from the Planning Commission on whether to approve, deny, or modify that development agreement, a zoning ordinance which creates the zone, a final site plan which would be included with the development agreement, and then a conditional use permit, which The planning commission can review and deny, but it is appealable to the city council, which is kind of what's happening. So that said, I am happy to kind of walk us through the process as we listen to the applicants and try to make a decision as a city council. But I would like, I think at this point, to hear from planning commission and the applicant first, and then I can provide some guidance on what the city council can do next procedurally. Again, it's not my job to make a decision on what should be done or to even apply the facts to the law, but it is my job to make sure we're following the correct procedures. And if those haven't been followed, we can send it back to the planning commission with further guidance.
Okay. So, Sean, I don't know if you have any questions for him at this point. I think we're going to try to put together some sort of a work meeting with Brandon here where we can kind of walk through to make sure we follow this correctly. But I just wondered if you had anything.
Yeah, I agree. I made some notes here that I definitely wanted to talk to Brandon and find out, you know, what kind of things qualify as detrimental. Is that the word you used? So if we have conditions, then we have to find out why we would want conditions, right? So.
Correct. You would identify what detrimental effects a development or a conditional use would have on a community, like traffic, increased water usage, drainage, anything like that, which we've heard some of today. And then you impose conditions to mitigate. That's where you would identify as a planning commission which conditions can be applied to that development to make sure those are mitigated.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing because what I'm hearing is that we don't really have any oversight. If they apply for it, we have to give it to them. We just have to tell them what conditions they live by.
That's how it works. And if you're looking at state code that applies to conditional use permits, I've got Title 10, Chapter 20, Section 506. It states that let's see, a land use authority shall approve a conditional use if reasonable conditions are proposed or can be imposed to mitigate the reasonably anticipated detrimental effects. So there is that basis of it shall be approved, but we have to identify conditions that can be imposed to mitigate reasonably anticipated detrimental effects. In other words, the only basis we can have to deny a conditional use is if you cannot come up with any reasonable condition to be imposed.
Okay, and so we can get into this in a work meeting, but it almost feels like it would be better to treat it as a zone, a rezone, instead of a conditional use.
It could be that way, but our code isn't written that way.
Right, but if we looked at changing our code.
Yep, but for this particular
For this, I
project-
understand it's already started and, yeah.
Exactly. So my recommendation, if the planning commission has denied the conditional use because the planning commission wanted to treat it as a zoning application, that we would revisit it as a planning commission and start over as a conditional use application and treat it like that.
Okay.
Once it's gone through that process, if it's approved with those reasonable conditions, then we start drafting an ordinance to pass it as a zone.
Okay.
An overlay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. So we probably ought to also hear from Brian Bingham.
Yeah, I'm going to let my
Okay. Okay. See if you have any questions, anything you want to.
Yeah, thank you, council, and thank you, Brandon, for the explanation. My name is Jay Cohn. I'm with Grow Development. We've partnered with Brian to bring this application before you guys. We're based out of Cottonwood Heights, so we're local. We're just trying to, use some of our skills and resources and develop property. We were able to work with the property owners, the Harris family and John Dixon. Obviously, they're choosing to exercise their property rights and sell the property. And so we wanted to do what's best. It is already zoned residential, and so when we saw that, realized the value of the home that the Harris family has, and we have to account for that. We're not planning on demolishing that, but then looking at all the property to purchase from them and John, we lean towards this senior housing overlay in order to, one, provide some more moderate priced homes. No, I didn't say affordable homes, I said moderate priced homes, right? And so these be on some smaller lots, more attainable. It really opens the door for move up and move down opportunities. You know, somebody who doesn't want the acre anymore, maybe families that go through changes in their life, and provides more housing inventory for Plain City. We did come to the work session in Planning Commission in November. We did receive some feedback on housing types, where we were originally all attached product. We are now some townhomes and some single-family homes. They asked for open space, we added some more open space. They asked for parking, so we added parking. They asked for some open space amenities. We added a gazebo barbecue area on our site plan. We also presented a development agreement where we met all of the regulations and requirements that are in the senior housing overlay code within your city code. We also followed the general plan, where it clearly states that you guys want, you know, sustainable housing, a mix of housing, enhancing the community. It's a pretty tired, rundown area of the city right now. When it comes to the water issues and the parking, we would obviously meet all civil engineering requirements that our project has to be self-sustained. All of our water has to stay on site. All of our runoff has to go into the designated storm areas. Obviously, when you add large sewer pipes and water pipes and storm drain pipes, they help act as French drains. You stop flood irrigating the property that it's currently experiencing right now. So there's a lot of things that we've done to try and make this meet all of the requirements of your city code. I felt like we've given a lot. We've also, you know, had a neighborhood meeting with the neighbors to have them express their concerns and issues, trying to address those and implement those into the plan. And so, yeah, our request tonight is please appeal, you know, what was officially a denial from the Planning Commission. Allow us to meet your conditional use requirement, follow your general plan that's stated out, and allow the landowners to exercise their rights to sell the property and develop it. We feel it will be a great amenity. It will add some great housing inventory that's not the third acre, $800,000 house, and it could be a great, you know, recharge of that area in that corner, you know, of the smaller area of Plain City. So, are there any questions that you have? Okay. Well, Brian, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just building on. I just wanted to build a little bit on what Jake was talking about in terms of the general plan. You know, specifically it talks about increasing moderate income housing that's integrated and not contained within one area within the city, encouraging life cycle housing that allows people to live and grow in the same community, allows grandma and grandpa to come back and stay in the community, that's affordable for seniors and recognizes their unique lifestyles, as well as creating a well-maintained, varied in cost, mixed density that's then safe, stable, and revitalized neighborhoods throughout the city. So we feel like our plan really hits a lot of those things. And I know that there's been some comments about maybe Plain City doesn't need more senior housing. That was, as a developer, that is something that we look at as well, because ultimately we need people to buy our houses. So we have to make sure that there's an appropriate absorption before we begin a project. So I did this, I called the city, and Tammy, bless her heart, and Diane, I appreciate both of you in this, to try and understand how many houses there are here, and what is an appropriate ratio of senior housing to general population housing. Unfortunately, there wasn't a good number for the number of houses within Plain City, so we used water hookups as a proxy for the number of houses. And there's about 2,600. Right now, Plain City has about 24 senior housing units, so less than 1%. National average is around 3 to 4%. If all of the current existing planned senior housing units are developed, in addition to what's already here in Plain City, that would put us at about 102 units, or roughly 3.5%. So that just brings Plain City up to the national average of what diverse senior housing would look like. That also doesn't include the surrounding unincorporated parts that are Plain City in effect, if not within the city, nor future growth that is happening in Plain City. So just want to provide that for context. And I know that based on this conversation, it's likely that we're going to go back to Planning Commission, but thought that that would be relevant context for people to have as we enter back into those discussions about what that might look like. And as Jake mentioned, we are happy to work with the city, with the engineers, to be able to mitigate some of these issues that our neighbors have brought up. And I really appreciate our neighbors, especially those that came to our neighbor meeting, because that has allowed us to better understand some of those issues and to create a better product for Plain City. So with that, I want to say thank you to you all, and happy to entertain any questions, other questions that you might have.
Have you guys had any discussions with the Planning Commission about a development agreement that includes the conditions for the development plus an escrow, anything like that?
We've had discussions about that and are aware of the escrow requirement. And
okay. Are you aware that a development agreement would need to be prepared as part of the process and then presented to the City Council for approval?
As of this meeting, yes.
Okay. Council members, I think at this point, just based on my analysis of the process and what has been done so far, I would recommend, and this is just...
Sorry, may I interject? Jake reminded me that we submitted a development agreement as part of the conditional use with the application.
Okay.
If there's another form that you need that in, or if that's specified in a different way that it doesn't appear as what you're looking for, we're happy to resubmit that as necessary.
That is something that I would need to review before we present it to council for vote and discussion, just as to form, just to make sure that it follows the form that the code requires for a development agreement, and that it has the proper signature lines, items like that. I would just be reviewing it to make sure it's a document that the City Council can take immediate action on and sign that day.
So should we send you what we've prepared and make sure that that's appropriate?
At this point, and this will kind of bleed into my recommendation to the City Council, I think there are some questions as to whether the procedure for conditional use permit were followed. We want to make sure that by the time it reaches the City Council, we have kind of a neat package for either an appeal for conditional use can be one of those, but also a vetted and approved development agreement. I need to review it and approve it for legal form.
Okay.
And then a site plan as well, which I think you have.
We do
but
have a site plan.
It does have to include the conditions that the Planning Commission would impose on it, so I kind of have to have that preliminary approval, as well as zoning ordinance needs to be lined up, because we need to be able to pass the overlay zone as an ordinance, which requires public hearings on our part. So all of that can happen in one meeting with City Council, but we think we need to back up to the Planning Commission phase and get those conditions sorted out, get our ordinances lined up, and then we'll be back here with the City Council with a neat package.
Okay, so should we work with you with that prior to the Planning Commission meeting?
My recommendation, because we're at a point where we're considering an appeal for a conditional use permit, would be to remand. So the City Council has the ability to either, essentially like a judge would, endorse the decision and or revoke the decision or remand it back to the appeal authority. At this point, I would recommend remanding just based on procedural corrections to allow the Planning Commission the opportunity to revisit the process and come back to the City Council with a new recommendation. As far as the review of the zoning overlay goes, where the code doesn't allow for a zoning application for a senior housing overlay, I would recommend to the city that the city essentially revoke the denial of a zoning application, because it's not to be considered by the city as a zoning application. So it would just kind of reverse all the review and decisions that the Planning Commission made on the zoning application specifically, that gets removed from the table and we purely move forward as a conditional use. And then at the end of it, we'll come back with a proposed zoning ordinance. It just doesn't follow the rezone application process. So again, purely procedural, my recommendation would be to revoke the decision or reverse the decision of the Planning Commission on the zoning application. That allows you to readdress the zoning, and then remand the conditional use permit back so that the zoning can be circled into that. And then we can work together with the Planning Commission in a work session.
Perfect.
On a public meeting.
Okay.
Okay, did you get all that?
Yeah, who wants to make that motion?
Well,
And
I was looking to
You're welcome to make.
I
the
don't
motion
see,
based on my statement.
well, from what I
just
see
make-
is she didn't
Just make 2
the
points.
planning commission never actually denied it. They just recommended
Recommended,
to
didn't
the city council
Yeah, we just recommend with
that
these
we deny.
land use authority on anything that's, yeah,
From
out of
from what I'm
subdivisions.
reading, they never denied. They just made the recommendation
For the zoning.
that the city council denied for the conditional use. I'm looking for the,
I thought the conditional use was denied.
no, well, they did mark
Just
deny, but in the wording, it says that the planning commission recommends to the city council.
The Planning
Denial.
Commission is vested with the authority to approve or deny conditional uses. It's their job.
But
We can only
they
recommend.
recommend.
It's a legislative. it
They
comes here.
recommend, and then it goes to the city, and even in their minutes, they said this is going to the city council for their decision.
Not for a conditional use.
But,
Conditional
I'm
use
just
is-
telling you that's what happened.
and on the
Recommend.
paper here, they even wrote, we recommend denial to the city council. The planning commission recommends, not we recommend denial, not we are denying. It was their recommendation to us.
That's what our motion is, to recommend.
Recommend.
Can I just make 2 points? We found out through some process that there is a difference between a development agreement and developer's agreement. And a development agreement is fairly generic, and this one needs to be more specific. I'm sorry, I don't recall the one that got turned in to us, but it does need to be pretty specific to the development. A second thing is, when they brought their plan into us, the site plan was just a, mock-up basically, which is fine, because we don't expect people to invest a lot into their plans and stuff until it gets approved. So just letting you know that some of those things they talked about, yes, parking and open space and that, we did see it, but it was just never really gone to in depth because we weren't at that point yet, so.
Other questions?
Trying to look at the overlay, what exactly they said, the plan commission. I want to read what the
Where you at, you can see the big
wordings are.
I am looking at the notice of decision for the conditional use. It does say recommends denial, but it also mentions that this is appealable to the city council within 10 days of the order. I think this is more over a form over substance kind of argument, even though the notice of decision says recommends denial. The job by ordinance of the planning commission is to make the decision. And it is an appealable decision to the city council, which they do say in the last sentence of their notice of decision. So I think if we're looking at the overarching law that applies, this would be a formal denial, even though the form of the notice of decision is incorrect.
The planning commission shall make.
The
its
only thing I would say about
recommenda-
that is the state legislature mandated that you had to identify a land use authority, which they wanted to be planning commission, but that was only for subdivisions. So I'm just saying there was some difference that the city council stayed the land use authority on several things.
Check and see the conditional use ordinance. And again, this is something we can.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying, is I don't know if it's Plain City's code that had designated the city council as the land use authority, and we had to change it when the state mandated that go to planning commission.
So I'm not really sure if we're remanding everything back to the planning commission, just go back and do your, go
Well,
back to
it
where
was a good thing, because the planning commission just runs by ordinances. We don't really get to pick and choose. If it meets the ordinance, it passes. Legislative, you guys are voted in. You have a little more flexibility to keep your voters happy and do things that maybe make sense for the city that are over that. But you can't do it on subdivisions because the state has said the planning commission is the land use authority for that specific type of development.
Yep.
Yeah, Planning Commission is the land use authority. A conditional use permit is an administrative land use decision. The code does say recommend in one section, but it also says in another section the Planning Commission must determine whether to approve or deny, and then that decision is appealable. Not recommendation, it's appealable to the city.
So that to me just says language needs to be cleaned up.
So it could be cleaned up.
Very much.
I agree.
Okay, thanks.
At this point, I mean, if you want to make a motion to just make, to remand both the recommendation and the
Decision.
denial, and just have it come back on a different agenda, you can do that as well.
That's what that sheet.
Go ahead.
So for both, then, because those are two separate, can we put them together?
Yeah, or you could do it to his word, according to,
I will make a motion to do what Brandon said.
simple.
You have that down? Okay.
That's fair enough.
All in favor?
No, second.
Or second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry, I'm just, looks like we approved that. It'll go back to the planning commission. Okay? Brandon, thank you for being here.
Yeah, happy to help.
All right. Okay, now we are to the subdivision amendment for Freedom Estates, right? Jan Checketts?
Yeah. I was at Planning Commission, and I understand why she wants to do phases, and I have no opposition with that, so I'll make a motion that we approve the subdivision amendment for Freedom Estates to have a Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Jan, could you tell us what her reasoning was? Or just book notes?
She wanted to start and get one finished or two finished to pay for the rest of
Oh,
it.
yeah, absolutely.
Which made perfect sense, so,
Okay,
So we'll start on 1550 and work
Work.
1500.
correct.
okay. I'll second that.
We have a second.
All in favor?
Favor? Aye.
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 Looks like that motion passes well. Okay. Let's move to the conditional final acceptance of Cove Creek subdivision. Dan, you want to address that? Yeah.
Yeah, this is for a 6-lot subdivision down on 5200 West and 900 North. You have to go over the canal to get to it. Turned out really cute. They did a rural area, no curb and gutter, no sidewalk, but did the swells off to the side of the road, narrower roads. It turned out really nice. So, but anyways, they're ready for conditional final and start their warranty period. All the improvements are in, satisfactory. No sewer at this time. They're
Septic.
so the county's over that, and because they would have to run sewer down 5200 all the way down to 1500 and tie that in with the pressure line. So, and they weren't ready to do that at that point. And then by doing that, we would have to make everybody on 5200 tie in as well in a year.
Dan, I got a question. We approved this back in the good old days when I was just barely a brand-new city council member, so I'm having a hard time remembering. Was this a subdivision where we were debating a fire truck turnaround and we were holding one lot until that was?
No, they actually ended up having to do a turnaround at the
Did
bottom
they?
of that 900 North Street.
Okay.
And before it goes back into the trees and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that discussion, yeah. It's
But
been-
that is the one.
Okay,
So.
that is the one.
Okay, we've got a memorandum from both Dan Schuler, our Public Works Director, and from Brad Jensen, our civil engineer. I guess we'll entertain a motion on this.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the conditional final acceptance for the Cove Creek subdivision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Legislative solution.
okay. Legislative Solutions Contract Review. I know Kerry Gibson, I believe, is joining us.
There he is, right there.
Okay, on Zoom, we can see you. And we also have his wife, Katrina,
yes.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. And we've got a new proposal in front of us, right?
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's had a chance to review it. But we'd love to hear from you and your husband, anything you'd like to tell us.
Right. I'm going to let the questions, I'm going to let him present and answer any questions you have regarding the consultation. And then anything that is regarding the contract, the detail to that, and I can handle that.
So, Mayor and council members, thank you for your patience with me today. When I realized this was on the agenda, I was already out of town on a business trip, and so I apologize for having to join by Zoom. I would much rather be there in person, but as you can see, my better half and partner and everything important is there to answer any details on the business side of, or on the contract side of this. I'm happy to talk to you about what's been going on over the last year and where we are looking to go in the future. But before I do that, I want to just congratulate the new Mayor Meyer, and you newly re-elected city council members. It has been really good to get to know all of you and have the opportunity to work with you over the last little while. Congratulations on your election, Mayor, and
Thank you.
city council on your re-election.
Thank you.
I think Plain City is well served by the representation that you provide. So first of all, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. As I've mentioned before, it's something that is tremendously important to me. I have sometimes we do things for work, and sometimes we have the opportunity to do things that matter to us, and very seldom do you get the opportunity to do both. And I'm blessed to have that opportunity, especially with Plain City, the closest thing to a hometown city that I have. And I hope that shows in the way that we've done our business and represented Plain City in our responsibilities at the state and federal level. It has been a great opportunity to serve all of you with this responsibility, and we've had some really good results. I've had the opportunity in the past to present some of it, and I also sent you an email today just highlighting some of the accomplishments since we came on board a few years ago. We have thoroughly enjoyed it, and we have learned an awful lot about how we might be able to make things better in our community, and look forward to continuing with that. We've talked many times about the direct funding appropriations requests that we've been able to bring into the city, and so I'm going to try to keep that a little bit to a minimum today. Even though that's probably the best way to explain to most of your residents how how important this is. When I say that, I mean that it's easy to show a contrast between what it costs to have our team on board versus what actually comes in directly into the county or into the city. And so when we're talking about 1.5 or a little more than $1.5 million over this short period of time, we think that clearly shows a good return on investment for the work and the effort that we put forward, and for the cost that it has to keep us, that it requires to keep us on board. That being said, what I'd like to focus on a little bit more are kind of the unspoken or unnoticed things that happen on a daily basis within the city. and that, that sometimes people don't recognize. If you look back in the document that I sent you, you'll see something that I referred to a few months ago when we presented as well, that talked about a particular piece of legislation that would have changed the entire way that Plain City sewer system would have had to function. That literally, without amendments that we put forward on the city's behalf, would have cost the city truly tens of millions of dollars to rebuild the sewer plant, because of the way that we evaporate our sewer versus the treatment and discharge method in the attempt to discharge water into the Great Salt Lake. So that's just one example, but those types of things happen all the time. A big part of our role is to monitor and watch and be a part of the discussions that happen in the legislature all year long, including the monthly interim meetings that happen 2 or 3 days every single month, and make sure that there are not issues that are being discussed that might damage the city and the way that we do business. And it's not just sewer. There are an awful lot of opportunities, even though that's the one that we've focused on the most over the last couple of years. There are an awful lot of opportunities to focus on a wide range of issues that always come up before the state and federal government. We're always looking for grant opportunities and funding opportunities, and they come in different shapes and sizes and forms. And so the two major appropriations that we were able to deliver came in different ways. One was ARPA funding that came through the state government and was appropriated to cities and counties. And the other one was a direct appropriations ask that we were able to push through the Utah legislature that was funded 100% from state funding. And those opportunities, even in a tight budget year, are always out there. In fact, as we're listening to legislators now set the stage for what the budget's going to look like this year, they want us to believe that there's no money this year, and frankly, it is a tough budget year because of a lot of the pass-through money from the federal government is being cut back. But I think that that's exactly when our services are needed the most, because to be honest, what that does is resets expectations for everybody who's looking for appropriations opportunities. But for us, it means that we don't have as many people looking for the small amount of dollars that we're looking for, or excuse me, for the same dollars that we're looking for. And so we are really excited to go forward and look for those types of opportunities here in the next, during this legislative session, which actually starts on Tuesday. So we will be up on the Hill, as you know, working that process throughout the year, and would love to converse with each of you about the types of needs and requests that you feel are important. I will say, from a proactive standpoint, before I hear from you, that we have been told by the legislative leadership this year that this will be a year that's going to focus an awful lot on infrastructure and public works. I think that we are very likely going to see, for the first time in a few years, a bonding package for transportation. And I know that Plain City has an awful lot of unmet transportation needs, and always is looking for dollars to help with transportation projects. I think that that's a real area of opportunity. And then specifically, back to the sewer issue, one of the things that we are actually in the middle of working on at this point is we've been working with specifically Senator Curtis's office, Congressman Moore's office, and the rest of our federal delegation to give the state more leeway in some of the DEQ requirements. To explain that a little bit, the federal government has certain regulatory requirements when it comes to our sewer plant and discharging, not discharging, but monitoring phosphorus and nitrogen levels. We've been working with them to give an additional layer of what we refer to as primacy to the state to make adjustments to those under certain circumstances. And we actually have meetings set up next week with Senator Curtis's office and the director of the DEQ, Tim Davis, to discuss next steps on how we can address those concerns. Because as you know, we want to do everything correctly to treat our sewer in an appropriate way for our residents. We also don't want to do things additionally that can be very, very expensive without making sure that it actually makes a difference. So, and sometimes the federal rule without more on the ground monitoring from the state primacy efforts lead to that overreach that makes things very detrimental to our taxpayers. So those are just a few of the things that we're working on right now. And before you, of course, as I mentioned, is that summary as well as an updated contract that would take us through the next upcoming year. And we would love to be able to discuss that with you and answer any questions that you may have going forward.
Okay, questions?
That's all.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment. So I was able to join you and Mayor Beasley in that meeting with Senator John Curtis. And I really appreciate the way that you stepped up and kind of tried to protect Plain City as much as you can. I think many of you here know that I'm in the wastewater treatment industry. I'm actually in sales. And, it's been frustrating to see that basically the Utah DEQ has just locked in with everything that California DEQ has done. And so they've kind of done a blanket statement for all wastewater operators that you have to take care of your nitrogen and phosphorus and remove it. And it's been frustrating that Utah, that is much smaller population density than California, has seen California as a beacon and has just gone along with whatever they've done. So, in my opinion, we need to get a little bit more ease, a little bit more of our own control, primacy, into wastewater treatment operations, and to maybe get those things laxed, those discharge, what we can and can't discharge. It needs to be a little bit more lax. So I appreciate everything you've done there. It'll go a long way to help Plain City. Without what you've done with Senator Curtis, it would have cost us millions and millions of dollars. I mean, we were involved in the Mountain Green project, and it was $60 million, $60 million. And that's not even a full mechanical plant. That is a lagoon plant that's just been energized and, beefed up a little bit. So it would have costed us millions of dollars. So I think what you've done to help us with Senator Curtis and try to change some of these are huge. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman. And I appreciate you bringing that up because, like I said, it's sometimes easy to focus on the direct appropriations, which certainly should stand on their own as well. But I think it's really important to understand the risk of not being in the game.
Absolutely.
The things that may happen if we're not prepared and if we're not being proactive on some of these policy issues as well.
Yeah, I'd hate to be shut down there at the plant and pay daily fees until we could get some upgrades that take years and years to happen. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Maybe a question for Dan from an operations standpoint. What have you seen in terms of the sewer requirements? Can you
repeat that?
So I was just asking in terms of the operations where you're over it every day, what have you seen with the state and what they're doing and the changes that are being made?
Well, they just renewed the permit, and so it's another 5-year permit, and they haven't changed any numbers. They haven't upped anything, so everything's still the way the last 5 years was. We're meeting the numbers just fine. So I don't know what they're going to surprise on us in 6 years, but like I said, we've got a 5-year plan, or a 5-year permit that they just renewed in December. So, and like I said, we're meeting all the numbers. It's not close. I just did my phosphorus report for 2025, and we're under on the numbers off of that. So, I mean, I don't see really, I mean, our influent flow is averaging a 0.43 million gallons and a day, and we can discharge up to a 0.6 million gallons a day. So, yeah, that's. We just got done with the headworks. Everything, I mean, it's taken out the solids, doing more than what the chopper pumps have been doing. But like I said, I think it's looking good. So, and like I said, we're meeting our permit numbers. So, yeah, I've gone a solid year without having one negative. So that's good. And then last year, I can't say that because we were under construction. So, and that was tough. So, but yeah. But
And Councilman Favero, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Councilman Favero, if I could answer, reply to that as well. I'm not insinuating that the state has changed anything in our permit process to this point. What I'm saying is that getting them to look at things differently into the future is a huge thing. They, as was mentioned, they haven't been willing to do that in the past. They've been following the California model, and the fact that we are having productive discussions with our federal delegation and our state policymakers in a way that keeps us functioning into the future is it's very important. It's very important going forward. So I hope I didn't nobody misunderstood that the current permit was going to change or anything like that. But we are looking for opportunities to change the way they think and make sure that we're not surprised by something like that.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. It's not like I knew that we were not meeting those requirements, because we are. I was just saying plants take a long time to design and to build, so that was my comment, was looking towards the future.
Okay. Good.
I did have a question. In your email, you were talking about House Bill 37, providing framework improvements aimed at addressing housing availability and affordability. I read through the House bill, and it just seems like it's more state regulations for cities to follow. How is that a boon for us?
So referring to that particular bill was simply to remind the council that there are constantly, the city is truly it's hard to, sometimes we like to think we have a lot of local autonomy, but the reality is the city is a political subdivision of the state of Utah. It's a much different relationship than the state of Utah has with the federal government, or should have with the federal government. With that being said, as a political subdivision, we have to be involved in the discussions when it comes to land use. And I should have clarified that maybe a little bit more in that discussion, but yes, that bill is one that could have, even though it's more regulation, it could easily, some of these land use requirements can easily get away from us if we're not watching those types of things. So that's one of those things that had to be more of a defensive posture, being a part of those discussions and making sure that there weren't things in that particular bill that would specifically damage Plain City. Now, I'll be honest, when you have, you have the League of Cities and Towns that looks at things as from a kind of from an all cities perspective. And sometimes their policy doesn't always align exactly with the individual needs and desires of cities. And so I've said this before, but the league is an important resource, I think, for the city as well as your individual lobbyists, because once in a while there's an opportunity or there's a conflict. And in that particular bill, you know, those are the kind of things that we have to be, that has to be part of our discussion every single year, or they will get away from us, and especially these smaller cities will be left behind.
I have some questions about the administration of the contract. First of all, I noticed that there is a reference to a rate, and I do see that there's a $3,500 monthly retainer, but is there any idea as to what the hourly rate per employee is? It just doesn't seem like there's a rate as far as hours or maybe costs more money versus maybe an intern. Is there anything like that you can clarify for us?
Yes, I can take that, Katrina. No, the rate simply refers to the monthly retainer fee, and that's the standard in this industry. That you know, we do a monthly retainer fee that's based on, you know, a number that we feel like we need to get to annually. We have different employees at different times of the year. We don't bill, you know, as any kind of an hourly rate. It's a monthly retainer fee that covers all of the scope of the contract.
I see. So it's not structured like billing up front and then you pull from the retainer as you work on an hourly basis. It's just a flat 35 per month fee.
Yes. So if the terminology needs to be adjusted to clarify that, that's acceptable to us for sure. That's just language that's been in our contracts for years, and it's not structured as pulling from anything. In fact, the reality is, you know, there's no question that there's definitely a lot more effort. We work all year and we monitor and do all these things all year, but there's an awful lot more resource that's put in during the legislative session. And so that's why we look at things from a year, you know, kind of what we think we need to operate on a yearly basis. And sometimes we're putting much more into it than other times of year. So it's just a monthly fee. Yes.
Thank you. I also have a question about the term. It looks like the contract that was in place, the term expired at the end of last year. So at this point, the contract would technically be terminated. And at this point, are you proposing to extend that contract with the same provisions? Because there is a provision in here that allows for an extension with written approval by the client. Or are you proposing a new agreement for the city to sign, like a new copy with a new term?
I'm comfortable with however you would like to do that. In one of our previous contracts, and frankly, in most of our contracts that we enter into with most of our municipalities, we basically have it so that the contracts renew automatically, and they have a 30-day with a 30-day out or a 30-day withdrawal. So in other words, if there's a need to withdraw, that can be done with a 30-day written notice. So in this particular case, in our last meeting, in our last renewal, the council was uncomfortable with that, and I respect that. And so we tried to do it on an annual basis, on an annual contract. And so to the extent that you would like to clarify how you would like to see that, it doesn't matter to us. What we don't want to see is if you're going to enter into this contract right before the legislative session, we would love for you to look at it and consider it as a year-long contract. Obviously, there are circumstances in which we'd be okay with the early termination of that, but where we're front-loading a lot of the work during the legislative session, we want the council to see it as a year-long contract and exercise that provision sparingly, you know, if absolutely necessary, performance or something like that, but not just you know, the session's over and so we want to do something different.
Carrie, to maybe hit on that a little bit, in our last time when we extended this, that's why we extended it out to the end of the year, because I felt like, it was my opinion at the time, and everybody seemed to agree, that you had done the heavy lifting of the job, and we were after the legislative session, so we just carried it through to the end of the year. It's partly why it was
Right.
set up this way.
Yeah, and if you remember, we were kind of under the impression that the original contract had automatically renewed, and that's why we didn't come to you in January. And so that's why we were back in April saying, let's make this clear as to how you would like it to read. So I'm sorry to the attorney, I can't remember your name right now. It's the first time I've met you, and I can't really see your face because my beautiful wife's kind of in the way. But,
Brandon.
Brandon. But we are comfortable with massaging the terms and the intent of the council in the way that they would like to perceive that, in the way that they would like to, to interpret that contract. We just simply are saying we have a number that, an annual number that we've split up into 12 payments that covers the cost of our services for the year, and that's the way we prefer to do this.
Thank you. Council members, I think just to note for the contract, there is no longer a contract. So we're looking at either a new contract that you would consider signing, which you also need to be aware of the procurement code, which requires competitive bidding for new services, or an extension of the contract that was in place from last year. It's a little bit of a stretch because that contract is technically terminated, but I think I could defend you on extending it based on the timing being of the essence, where you're going to be on the Hill here in the next week or so, extending it to an appropriate amount of time to actually capture the essential services, and then we revisit this again for a new contract when there's kind of a break in legislative needs.
Well, when we talked about this last April, it was supposed to be brought back to us in October or November,
I think it was November.
and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So,
And so you have those options, and you can decide which one you'd like to do. If you do want a new contract, we are subject to the purchasing code and have to ask for additional bids for these services. If you extend the previous contract, which really is still not in place, so there's no provision to allow it to extend, but again, 15 days overdue, I think I can make the argument for you that we can reactivate that contract and the provision that allows us to extend it. But that can't substitute the procurement process. It's really just an immediate needs type of extension, and at some point you would have to go back to competitive bidding in order to make a decision on services like this for the city. So it's up to you today if you want how you would like to proceed, either on the old contract or obtaining a new one.
And if I could just mention, Brandon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not an attorney, and so I'm not questioning what you're saying, but we have, but I'm almost positive that the state law exempts professional services from the procurement code, the bidding in the procurement code. This type of thing is often so personal to the exact needs and desires of a local municipality that they've specifically exempted that from the procurement requirements. I'm fine if you want to circle back on that and figure out, just to make sure. But that's what we've been doing on all of the contracts, and frankly, it's the industry standard. There's some that do put them out for competitive bidding, for sure, but most do not. And even if they are, if the contract is, broken or whatever, not broken but expires, we've never dealt with that in the past. To the comment that it was supposed to come back in October or December, I just want to give you my reasoning for that. To be honest, it was because I knew that there was a new mayor and city council that were going to be elected, and I wanted them to be part of this discussion. I didn't want to come in and try and and try and bind a new mayor and council to something that the previous mayor that was a priority of the previous mayor. And so I just hope that you'll take that as a sign of respect from us, that we wanted to allow this to be something that your new mayor and council was a priority for the new mayor and council. And so if that happens to be the case in this case, we'd love to continue. But I didn't want to bind the council with the previous administration. So if that was a tactical error on my part, that's fine. But the reality is that's the reason behind the delay here.
How many other cities do you represent in the state of Utah?
I represent Ogden City. I think that's the only other city that I represent. I do represent Morgan County, so I have some other, another county government and a few, and a special service district, as far as municipalities are concerned, plus some private clients.
I think for me, full disclosure, Carrie and I talked a little bit earlier about this, and I've mentioned this in other meetings. For me, is the planning part of this. What are we going to get out of this in the future? But not just this, anything we're talking about. What are we planning for? And whether this passes or it doesn't tonight, or we decide to go down some of the roads Brandon was talking about, we need to sit down and figure out exactly what it is we need, what we want, and it isn't just what I want, or, we all need to talk about as a group and what the city's going to need moving forward out of a service like this. Because in the past, we didn't really do that, and I think it'd be something, it'd be a lot, very beneficial for not only the city, but also for if it's Carrie's group here, whoever, so.
And that was going to lead into one of my questions. Jan already asked the question about how many cities you represented, and it sounds like two, the one city plus Ogden and Plain City, a county, and some private industries. But another question was, I know we brought you a shovel-ready project with the sewer, and you were able to get us the grant money for that. But aside from that, we don't have any other projects ready for you. We've been wanting to sit down and get projects laid out that you could get us money for. Are you able to go in, you can search for the monies that are hidden and say, hey, this is money. If you can get a project for us, we can get you money for it? Or is it we have to keep bringing you the projects and then you can find the money?
The government doesn't hide money. No, I'm just kidding.
I think to answer your question, it's both. There's no question that I think we can do better as a group as far as prioritizing and giving direction as to what the council, the mayor and council would like for us to prioritize and to work on. I would suggest a work session very soon so that I can more understand what types of things the city prioritizes. I mean, to be honest, we just had our hands full with the sewer plant the last little while, and that has been our focus. And it was shovel ready, which allowed us to be ready when the opportunity knocked. But I've already mentioned, there's one huge opportunity that I think we should always be prepared for is transportation projects. We have transportation projects in our city that I think we can position as regional transportation projects in a way that would be compelling for the state to help us fund. And I just need to know from you, what those are and what kind of effort you would like, made on those particular projects, what kind of things you'd like to prioritize over others. So yeah, it's a joint effort. There's no question. Both of those, you did bring a shovel-ready project, but it was because I came to the mayor at the time and said, hey, we have an opportunity in this particular area to bring funding to the city. That was one of those things that I proposed. The second tranche of money that we referred to was also, you know, a similar situation. I said, hey, I think we have an opportunity here. It wasn't a grant. It was 100%, neither one of them were grants. They were 100% legislatively appropriated, even though one of them came from funding that had come from the federal government. It was not, well, I guess the first one was kind of considered a grant program, but it was a very political process, I guess is the point. It wasn't something that you would perceive like a federal grant with, okay, if you do this, 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 and this, you get this ranking and you'll score this score and you'll be chosen. It was a political process that had to be done, you know, through the process that was set up in the state legislature. And, you know, so both of those have been proactive on my part. The stuff that we talked about with the phosphate levels and so on and so forth with DEQ, those were a result of the mayor coming to me and saying, I'm concerned about these issues. I'm concerned about where we're going with this and whether or not we're going to be in compliance and for how long. And we need to change the way that the DEQ thinks about how we're, you know, we're doing business. They've truly been trying to push plants like ours out of compliance. And so, you know, it's a joint effort, and I do think that there should be a process by the council, by the mayor and council, in which we develop that policy a little more clearly and give us better direction. I had one of those meetings today with Ogden, where we went through, you know, every piece of their city desire, you know, every part of their city priority list. And we prioritized and decided which ones we thought we might be able to tackle and which ones we thought we might not be able to. And so that's a healthy exercise and something that I think gives us good information.
All right, well, I think we've had a lot of discussion here. Carrie, thank you, and thank you, Katrina. Appreciate the information. So I think we have, you know, and I'm open to discuss this, but we, you know, we talked about extending it. We talked about a new agreement, and that would be subject to our procurement.
Yes.
And are you confident in that, or is that something we need to research, or?
No, it's not necessary. I have looked at, and have heard Carrie's proposal to apply the state purchasing code, but the state purchasing code allows for cities to adopt their own rules with regards to procurements. And in adopting our own rules, we make ourselves subject to those same rules. In this Plain City Code, we have a list of exemptions for from competitive sealed bidding, and professional service type contracts is not part of that list. In fact, I'm looking at 1-11-3 subsection E that's titled Use of Competitive Sealed Proposal in lieu of bids, and it says competitive sealed proposals are most appropriately used for professional service type contracts. And the only other exemptions I can find is if this would be a lower amount that would be exempted from competitive proposals, which would be between $1,200 and then up to $4,000. That kind of allows us to do a little more of informal bidding process. And so where we've passed our own rules saying that we need to have competitive sealed bidding or proposals, we are subject to those rules. Even though state law has exempted it, generally we have further restricted the city to that competitive standard. And so I would say for the purpose of appeals by competitors, which of course we all don't want a competitor to come in, appeal the procurement, and then the contract is voided, floundering for a new service. I would say to avoid that risk, we follow the procurement procedure and get some competitive bids, unless the city council wants to choose to extend last year's contract and just keep that one going for as long as we need it. Again, we have to at some point find a new service provider or just open it up again to the public. But I could probably defend the city on
An
extending the last
emergency
year's.
extension.
Yeah, So it's up to
So
you.
if we do nothing, the contract's over.
If we do nothing, the contract's over with. There is no more agreement between us and sorry, I don't have your.
Legislative solutions, yeah.
Yeah, legislative solutions. There is no agreement at this point with them.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
I do know he said that transportation is the big thing, and both tracks and,
Legacy?
just the transportation people. They, the buses and the trains.
UTA.
UTA.
Thank you, UTA. I had it in my brain. I've had a migraine for the last 2 days, and it's finally going away, but my words are not here yet. They said that we are not even a blip on their radar for the next 50 years.
No.
So unless something major happened to be on their radar, they said that we can support them by giving them money to build it for the people south of us, and then that would get more people off of the roads, and then helps us because there's less people on the roads when we drive. That was their pitch to us. But we're not getting trains and we're not getting buses. So the transportation monies is not going to come to Plain City.
Roads are also part of the transportation process. That's what I'm referring to.
And I do know that UDOT has maps out. There's going to be the Legacy Road, and they are going to be doing some work on 2600 North and Plain City Road, but they have plans 30 years down the road.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem with that, and again, Phil and I talked about this just briefly, because he hasn't been the mayor for very long, but a lot of the plans out here in Plain City are pretty, there's not a lot of planning.
They're
To your
nebulous.
point with UTA, and if they're not on a plan, it makes it very hard to get funding. So to my point earlier, that's what I worry about. I would like to, and maybe the contract being that we have to go out for procurement, wait, look at some things, have some meetings, talk about what we need for the future, and then revisit it, and then put it out through the procurement process, so we're legal there. But that's just what I'm thinking.
But,
Get our plans lined up. What do we want to focus on?
Right.
and I see your point, but at the same time, Kerry also said that there's other monies that he can look for, not just having projects in hand ready to go, but also monies that we can get from the state as well.
But I've been asking for that for 2 years.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's always, well, what do you want? And if we don't know what we want, then he can't go get it for us.
so there's still money he can get.
Well,
So do we even need to vote tonight?
I mean,
Because there's no contract.
there's not going to be a motion, then the contract will be over. And, you know, if we decide to go to planning, then we maybe come back to these guys and see if we
See if
entertain it. If we do, it has to go out to bid, and we address it that way. So, I mean, tonight, I guess we either extend this contract or we do not. And we spend some time together to see what our priorities are going to be.
So can we say like extend it until April and we revisit it in April?
But that would be the thing, is we would only be paying him to April when he's done all of the work, when this money is supposed to be paying him for a year, because he's put in all of that time and effort.
Yeah.
It's a year's worth of work is the whole contract. We're just paying it monthly installments.
Yeah.
So before we go too far down, I'll make a motion then. I move to approve the extension of the contract with Legislative Solutions.
I'll second.
Well, how about we ask Carrie, do you even want the extension where you might be doing work for a contract that may not even be approved?
I absolutely am committed to this city and to furthering your goals. I will admit, I'm not sure that I'm not that I'm not feeling slightly unwanted in this moment. And if that's the case, that's exactly why I wanted to wait until the new administration was in place so that they could weigh in on whether or not this was important to them. If this is important to this city, I don't believe that there is anyone in this industry that is willing to provide the level of service that we've been able to provide at the rates that we are providing them. And I am committed to continuing that process in a way that is beneficial to the city. So I guess I'm just saying that I'm here at your service, council members. If you feel value in what we've done and where we're going, I would prefer to not let procedure or some kind of a lack of communication as far as, you know, what exact projects we're going to work on to hinder that. That being said, if you feel like you need to move on, I respect your opinion, and we can clearly, certainly provide other, move on to other priorities. We're happy to do that. So
And
I guess to answer your question, Rachel, I'm willing to take the risk if you are all willing to commit to figuring out how to move this forward in a positive way.
And I've got to admit, I've been rather quiet on this issue because, number one, I'm brand new, okay? Number one, I mean, I do see some, according to your figures, you brought in 1.5 million. We've spent approximately $70,000 in salary, which is impressive. But it's one of those things like, what have you done for us lately? The last year, and I know that's just not how it works, but I'm not sure I understand it enough. I'm a little concerned that you don't work with any other entities like Plain City. I don't know, truthfully, out there if there's other cities our size that have the luxury to have what we have here, And if, I don't know if there's other cities this size that have a consultant working for them. Can you answer that question?
I can't answer it specifically. I can say that that to me, the size of our city is exactly the point. When you say, do we have the luxury of having a consultant, I think the question is, would you rather me give back the contracted amount of, I think you referred to 70 or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but would you rather have me give that back and you give back the $1.5 million and the policy work that has been done? I don't think too many cities would, of your size, would take that offer.
No, and I agree with that, and that's a good point. But in the same token, I know that Dan is, speaking about the street side of things, has secured a lot of grants, multi-million-dollar grants that we're the beneficiary of as well, and those are currently, in process. So, I'm glad that I don't have to vote on this,
Yeah.
But
And
I'd, I would feel better if I had a little bit more time in the saddle, if we had talked about what it is we want together. But, this isn't a major investment, and it has brought some returns, so, I'd be open to other thoughts on that.
You have a
And just to
motion.
clarify,
You have a motion and a second on the floor. I think you need to call for a vote.
Okay, let's call for a vote.
For me, until we have time to think, I think it's a nay.
I agree with Adam. I think it's a nay until we have more time to get our projects in line.
Yay. I guess I've motioned, so yeah, yay.
Nay for me. And
I
you
seconded
seconded,
it, so.
All right. Well, it looks like we have a 3-2 vote, so the contract will disperse. So that's kind of where we're at. I hope this doesn't mean that this is the end of our business together. You know, we're certainly open to talk. We're going to be talking about this and get our priorities in order. And, you know, there may be a possibility that we will look into this again. But thank you so much for your service and all you've done, and we appreciate it.
I will stand by, ready to engage if and when you decide the time is right.
Thank you,
Thank
Gary.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Katrina.
All right, that moves us to Rachel. We've got a wave of senior center fees for the Western Weaver CTC board meeting.
Yes, so the Western Weber CTC, they serve what they call the two cone. It's the Westfield High and the Fremont High School, and they rotate through all of the Western Weber communities that are participating. And right now, they are not coming to Plain City to host their meetings because we have the fee for the senior center. And we generally waive it, but it's the constantly, can we waive it? And I'd like to officially request that the city council approve the waiver of the senior center fee so that we can start hosting the meetings here. And it's gonna be for both the key leader meetings and the community board member meetings. And they're just two groups, and they've asked the mayor to start sitting in on the key leader meetings. And they would like community members that interact with the youth, like law enforcement, to start coming to the meetings as well. So you've officially been invited as well, and I can send you all of the information. And our residents are invited to come too if you have any interaction with youth, whether you're a parent, doctor, teacher, nurse, a librarian, friend of a child, you're welcome to come. Just contact me and I can get you all of the information. But the request is to officially waive the senior center fee so they can start meeting here.
How often do they meet?
They meet, so they kind of meet every first Tuesday of the month. 1 month, it's the community members, and then the other month, it's the key leaders. And it won't always be at our senior center. They're gonna be rotating through the different cities.
Nice.
So I'll be able to give you a heads up of when it would be us. We'd work with when it's free.
So a guess would be maybe one meeting a quarter,
Maybe.
Maybe.
ballpark?
What's the senior citizen fee? Center, sorry. Well, you know, senior citizens at the senior center. $100?
And so you have the rental fee, and then you have the cleaning fee that you get back if you leave it in good condition.
Do we waive the fee for different groups, or would this be the first?
As far as I know, Colette is the only one that uses it all the time for free.
Profit?
Profit.
Oh, okay.
And if it's a city person, like again Colette, she uses it for her recreation
Football
activities.
to recreation stuff.
But I know they have the Plain City Boutique. They rent it out all the time, and as far as I know, they have to pay for it because
They
it's
do.
not a nonprofit. Western Weber CTC is a nonprofit.
With that in mind, I'll make a motion that we waive the senior center fee for the Western Weber CTC board meetings. For the, like, next year, do we need to have a deadline? 2026.
I'm okay making it permanent. So however you want to word it.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
Yes. We'll have them bring it back in January.
We need something to do next year.
Ah,
Put
God.
ourselves out of a job.
Rachel, you're on again on this resolution.
Okay, so we read the America 250 Utah resolution in December. So I am not reading it again.
Oh, come on.
Thank you.
That's okay.
It's
I
only.
don't think most of you even
oh,
listened.
8:45.
But there is an amendment to the attachment A. We're just removing most of the people that were on the committee and just leaving Rachel Beal, Jan Wilson, and Phil Meyer, as well as adding the phone number and the email address. And so I would like to make a motion to approve the America 250 Utah Resolution number 2026-01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm not gonna lie.
So, very good. Motion approved.
When you said "and," I thought you were about ready to say Adam for the committee. I'm like, what?
All right.
And Councilwoman Beal, thanks for your efforts towards this.
Yeah, she does a great job. In fact, Lauren and I had the privilege of attending the kickoff meeting for CTC. Well, I'm talking about CTC now, but anyway, it was a great experience. And they do wonderful things. I feel really good about everything you said.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, council assignments. I think I've met with everyone singularly on this, but we need to make it official. So I have given each of the council members assignments that they would report on. So let me just kind of go through this for you. You've got Jed Jenkins, who will remain as Mayor Pro Tem. He will have Fire Department, Planning Commission, WACOG, Housing, and Mosquito Abatement. Adam Favero, Public Works, Building Inspector, Wasatch Front Regional Council, and Landfill. And Luigi Franzio would have our Public Safety, Weaver County Sheriff, Animal Services, and Plain City Irrigation. Jan Wilson, Recreation, special events, including Easter, 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas. Got her hands full. And she's over grants.
Do you realize I retired from that?
Rachel Bill, Western Weaver CTC, which we know she's been heavily involved with. The America 250 that she just discussed with us. And emergency preparedness and the Weaver County Everbridge, which we're still trying to learn information on, okay?
I'll do some research on it too.
So you've all been given these assignments. We should approve this by motion.
Oh, and then there's that little teeny tiny note.
All council members participate in the Plain City 4th of July celebration to help Colette out and Jan. So, you know, your participation could be by assignment, or it could be participating in the parade, but we definitely want you to participate, okay?
For the record, I will always miss the parade, and I'm sorry.
He told me that up front.
Okay. Just not on the 4th of July.
But he always comes over to the celebration afterwards.
Yes.
And the car show, yeah.
Let's do a cutout of Luigi.
Luigi.
Let's do that this year.
Yep.
We thought about it
I
last year.
am working on moving my vacations. So
Music to my ears. That's
I
awesome.
just have.
Wait a minute,
the
you're gonna
4th
be
of
on the
July.
float with Jed and I this year?
What's that?
Last year we were
Yeah,
solo.
we felt alone.
Last year, I couldn't open one eye, remember?
I do remember that, actually.
I looked like a cyclops. I'm like, oh, what?
We would have put you on the side of the float where you wouldn't have to
Yes.
We always go to the car show.
always see you there.
I always hear the music.
All right, so do I have a motion on this?
I will
So
make a
moved.
motion to approve the council assignments.
We have a second?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries, those assignments. So really what that includes, and I think I've discussed each of you, we would want you to meet with your department head once a month, okay? We would want you to meet in a monthly meeting with the mayor and your department head. That's scheduled sent out. And,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
and
It's the,
We
And
all
there's
look to
a
Diane.
department,
What?
they don't necessarily have to, and they can't because we can't reject them. Okay, and we just actually held those today. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, when it comes to council comments, your report should be based upon, you know, your assignments and just bringing us up to speed, and it doesn't have to be real lengthy. it does keep us all in the loop on what's going on in the city and what initiatives we're working on and that type of thing, so.
So basically, this is my last time of saying no report?
Yes.
Gotcha. I know, I'm like, wow.
All right. Okay, so we have our approval of our business licenses.
Not quite yet.
Meeting schedule.
Doing this.
Because
Okay.
it's a long
Because
list.
Diane writes it really little.
All right. I'm the only one up here that has well, two of us have glasses, but my glasses don't seem to be working too well. Ordinance setting meeting schedules for 2026. Should be the same.
This time and date works good for me.
Me too.
So first and third Thursday of the month at 6:30?
Yep.
Yeah.
Second and
Second,
fourth.
fourth at 7.
Okay. I need a motion on that.
So moved.
It's gonna be an ordinance, so it
Got a
needs.
second
Oh.
with Jan. All in favor?
Hold on,
Wait,
Hang on, she's,
2026.
yeah, Rachel pointed out it's an ordinance. Ordinance number 2026-02. Oh,
Ordinance is
oh,
on.
gotcha. Gotcha, 01.
What she said.
And then now we second.
You got a second? Hey,
Yep.
still? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes, yep.
Motion passes. Let's move to our approval of business license.
Mayor usually reads these.
Oh, I was just about ready to say that. Including the addresses.
You so dumb, but we wanted to make you read it.
I've actually looked at every one of these. I
I have
really
to.
have.
Yep, you really don't have to read it?
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
what's this Kent's Market? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Any questions on the new one?
Where's it at? Oh,
Just the very top one.
Oh, there it is.
I didn't know he did that, okay.
It's a lot of businesses. That makes me feel good.
yep.
Yeah, unless there's comments?
No.
Okay, I will move to approve the business licenses.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wow.
Good. Approval of those business
I
licenses.
looked at these, but I forget.
Yeah, and plus it's the first of the year, so. Approval of warrant register.
Just a moment.
Was from starting in December.
Oh, December 1st, there we go.
No.
No,
They sent an invoice for it? Unless we asked them to perform any work on behalf of the city.
no. Do you need a motion
Yeah, I
for
was gonna
each
say, do we need a-
individually, these packets? Like you need-
We've always kind of,
Just do the whole thing.
we've put them together before and just said the dates
Perfect.
separately.
Specify that, and
Which one was that?
That was the 13th, it was right.
Oh, right here on this one. Yeah.
I just,
Right here. I see it now. Page 3.
Any questions?
So there's this one on the warrant register report for 12/1 to 12/16. It's Pro Edge Technologies. Does that mean that we are now recording? We're finally good to go on the cameras recording? Almost? What do we have left? Oh, so we're just waiting for Connexa at this point. Otherwise. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
we giving the sheriff's office access to those cameras, do you know? I don't know if we've ever talked about it. Okay.
But you're over them, you can talk about that.
Yeah. Right, but if it's after hours, where do they come into? Yeah, but sometimes it's like, hey.
I'm like, here you go, well, that will be your decision.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Does Riverdale pay, or does Riverdale give access to the, do they?
I have access to every camera in Riverdale. City-owned cameras. Yeah.
They give it to the county
That
too?
could be a good thing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my question was to the county, to the sheriff's department, or is it just the Riverdale City Police? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you
just-
guys are Riverdale City.
But our flock cameras,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
And as a prosecutor
It's
who would
already
have to
9
prove a
o'clock.
crime in the city,
Yeah.
this is immediately possible.
Sure.
We would rely on that to prove the crime, so I think that's something we'll look into.
it helps a lot.
Yeah.
After-hour stuff, if something happened,
Yeah.
get it right then and there.
Or expedites everything.
I don't know, that's why.
Yeah,
I would
we
say
can
we don't
freely
have to vote
share
on
records with law enforcement entities upon request. There's already law governing it, there doesn't have to be a motion.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so is everyone good with the warrant register for me to make a motion?
Do it.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to pass the warrant register from December 1st, 2025 through January 13th, 2026, with the exception of the line for legislative solutions.
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call.
Roll call. You have to do a roll call on,
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
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 Yes, but there are 2 lines of legislative sessions. One's in December, one's in January. We need to pay December's.
We do have to pay December, so
yeah.
the one on January.
Not really sure where that comment was.
20s.
But
January 13th.
I with that comment. Or yay, or nay. What is it, yes?
Yes.
Yes, thanks.
I'm a yes.
I'm waiting for Diane to tell me.
Yes.
okay? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Oh, council reports, my favorite part of the meeting so far.
Well, since you're making us, Public Works is, no, I'm just, I know they haven't plowed a lot of snow. Once, maybe half the city maybe. Yeah. It's been a relatively mild winter so far. But yeah, I don't have anything to report.
All right, I was just going to bring up, we haven't seen the interlocal agreement from the county regarding the annexation, so just wanted to keep that at the top of everyone's minds.
Yeah, it's actively being looked at, and we're actively working on it.
All right, just with everyone
keep you
talking about
posted.
2,200, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, since we were talking about the cameras, I didn't know if we could claw back some of the money from the contract for the group that failed to complete their contract appropriately, and were installing cables that were not graded for outside, and they were running them through outside tunnels. So our new company that's almost up and running, they had to pull those cords because they weren't appropriate, and then had to rerun good cables. So the work that they did was not appropriate, and so let's just pay them for what they did that was good. So if we can pull back some of the money for the work that was not completed or not completed appropriately, let's get our money back.
That'd be a question for.
I was just gonna say, and Brandon?
I think we can review that administratively. We'll look at the contract and see if there's a claim to do that, and if there is, we can look to the mayor's guidance on whether to pursue it.
Okay. Also, I got my QPR Gatekeeper Instructor Certification Program through the Western Weber CTC. Even though they paid for the class, I own the certification, which means I can use it for the city. And that's to teach anyone that wants how to look for the warnings and risk factors. This could be a trigger warning now, for anyone that might be thinking about, taking their own life, or how to help someone who might be thinking of taking their own life, and how you can look for those warning signs and report them to help them get help. So I can teach those classes now.
Maybe that's something we look at, like we did the CPR training, we could actually do something like that.
Exactly, and I can train I can train law enforcement, I can train youth if they're mature enough to go through that class. And that's something that we can do as a city, or bring in Western Weber. They have more people trained, and they can teach that as well. Also, Western Weber CTC, they did have their kickoff for the year, and we have some graduating youth, and they've learned so much, and they were so proud of everything that they had done, and I'm proud of everything that they've done.
Your picture was on the front page, did you realize that?
I did not. Oh, no, I did not.
You were standing there with some of the kids. getting
Oh,
ready to
no.
work.
Okay, I did not know that, but that they're amazing. They're amazing youth. They go out, our Fremont students, the Westfield High, I don't know them as well, but our Fremont students are amazing. We're looking for more active youth and more active adults to help them, so please volunteer. And if you see them, tell them that they're doing a great job and that they've got a lot of grit, and they will understand exactly what you're saying. Also, America 250 Utah, Plain City, Shauna saw that. Riverton has their logo. America 250 is the national one. The ball that dropped for the New Year's in Times Square, they're going to light it up red, white, and blue on the 4th of July. And then under that, there's the America 250 Western region. Under that is the America 250 Utah. And then under that is America 250 Plain City. So we have our very own licensed logo. So you're going to be seeing that everywhere. We're going to be having a lot of activities, and we're going to be coordinating with Jan and Colette and Phil, and there's going to be Mayor Myers. Lots of activities that are going to be coming, so stay tuned for that.
A lot of these, or a couple of these, are new to me. So mosquito abatement was one that I was previously assigned to. I did attend the meeting this month. It's pretty slow at mosquito abatement, as you can imagine, in the middle of winter. But they did do the financial report, being that it was a new year, and everything looks good over there. So our tax dollars at mosquito abatement are being taken care of.
I did talk with Dan Creasy
Mhm.
earlier, and he's expecting your call.
Okay.
And then I'm enjoying myself back there. And you and your wife are going to be invited to their social, which is coming up here in a couple weeks. So,
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
I have talked to Colette, and we are looking forward to meeting. The end.
Very good, okay.
So a couple of my assignments, animal services and Plain City Irrigation, are new. I was advised on Monday that there was a meeting Monday night, and that's their only meeting of the year. I couldn't make it. So I will get a hold of Don Wade, the secretary, and figure out what I can do to help.
So they told us he's got a quarterly meeting, doesn't he now, that we were supposed to attend?
Plain City Irrigation?
Oh, you're talking about irrigation?
Oh, no.
I got
Oh,
you.
no.
Yeah, they only have one.
They only
Yep.
have one.
So I
Actually-
missed it.
Actually was there to greet them, so maybe that counts.
Okay.
Okay, but the police department will, Weber County will have quarterly meetings that you and I should attend. Okay.
So I'll talk with Lieutenant Horton too about the camera stuff, and I don't know, we can figure that out later. I don't have anything else, but I had a lot of people ask me, what happened to the Christmas tree this year?
I wondered that same thing. I guess that would have been my job.
So I'm like, that's what I said. So one person said, was it so ugly they shut it off? And I didn't have an answer. I said, I have no idea. So I just assumed it was something with
It
power,
was a
but.
power thing, huh?
So I
My
said I
grandkids
would
went.
ask if anybody knew.
All right.
Oh.
Sure. We need people to
Would you
hear.
please come to the microphone and give me your name and your address?
So we had some problem with the power that we were drawing from. Dan fixed it a couple times. We still had problems. Did we ever figure out what was exactly wrong with it? When we plugged in, it shorted out the tree. And so I didn't plug anything in. We hurried and fixed the tree before the Christmas tree lighting. On the Christmas tree lighting, we plugged it into a generator to make sure it would light. But then when we plugged it back into the regular plug, zapped the whole thing again. So Dan is working on that currently. So that is what happened to the tree.
It was
Well,
lit up.
The people that ask me, I doubt they're listening, so I'll go let them.
Sure.
Make sure you relay that information.
I will. That's all I have.
Okay. So I'm a little uncertain how to end the meeting. Do we have a motion, or?
You have a report?
Oh, I have a report.
If you do.
Well, yeah, let me just give you a brief report. So I feel like I have just dove into really rough waters, you know. But it's been fun, and I'll tell you one thing, I have been so impressed with virtually every individual I have met that works for this city, that has anything to do with this city. I gotta give the previous mayor, whoever made all these choices, kudos, because, I mean, from our, finance people, our treasurer, to the office staff is just fabulous. Great council to work with. Brandon's great. I mean, Dan, exceptional. It's just, the planning commission, some really good people, and we should feel really fortunate to be a part of this community. I think it's well-governed. The city financially is well-governed, and we can do some great things together. I'm looking forward to it. I would like to get together, just have discussions on priorities and that type of thing, so you'll see some stuff being put together to do that. Yeah, looking forward to working with every one of you. I did want to tell you, one of the things that I think we run into sometimes is communication problems. And when I've got you over certain things, and like, say something's brought up today about recreation, you know what I mean? I think it's best for Jan to deal with recreation, because she's over recreation, than for us to go directly to Colette, because she's got a number of people always after her. If we can, respect the person that's over that, and if you have questions, go to that person, let them go to their department head to get them the information. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's kind of how I'd like to handle the communication aspects of it, but it's been a thrilling ride for a week here, and I can't wait to see what happens the next few weeks, but we've got some exciting things going on. We've got 3600 we're dealing with, and that's a major project. We're down to a couple properties. We're trying to make things work there. We've got 2200 that is brought up tonight, and we're meeting with the county. We're trying to get that resolution to a place where we can bring it in front of the council. And so Dan's going to be heavily involved in that. Adam, Jed, as Mayor Pro Tem. So we're working in that regard. North Plain City Road, I've been brought up to speed by Wasatch Civil on that. And that's a major project, and we're starting. There's going to be some land acquisition that's going to take place now. So some major projects we're working on, and some exciting stuff ahead. So that's all I've got to report.
You looking for a motion?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.